Hello, coolman229 here.
And angelrin89. Hi.
I don't even know what I'm going to do with her.
Before this video, so many stupid things. We shouldn't be allowed to hang out.
Stop laughing, we have a topic video to do.
I can't help it, I'm still in giggles. I'm okay.
Alright, we're talking about Luke Skywalker, your fave. So yes, this topic video will be over Luke Skywalker. This topic video was sent in by Tumblr user grimaulkins, and she asked...
Hi, Amy!
Yeah. And she asked, what is Luke Skywalker's greatest strength and weakness, in your opinion? Now we're gonna go through each of the movies and talk about the weaknesses, and then again go through the movies again and talk about his strengths. So of course, first then is A New Hope.
Which... Okay, yeah. Everyone's like, Luke's so whiny. Which, he's 19 years old. He was stuck on that disgusting dirt ball forever.
And his friends are gone.
Everybody's like leaving. He's obligated to whine at least a little bit, guys. Come on.
Also
You're 19. You would whine too.
He's also an orphan.
He's like obligated to whine. But regardless, yes, okay. He's your typical whiny teenager who dreams of something more.
Cliche.
But that's what Star Wars does. It takes cliches and just tries to make them something fresh, like you've never heard of before, but that's neither here nor there. So yeah, but he's a good-hearted kid. Like, he, like, in the deleted scenes, expressed excitement when his friend Biggs was going to be joining the rebellion.
Yeah.
Like, so, you know, Luke wouldn't mind being a part of that, despite the fact that, you know, people go there and die. But then again, people are on Tatooine and they die. So really, to Luke, it's like literally dying anywhere except Tatooine would be better.
Yeah, so one of his biggest flaws in that movie is definitely his naivety.
Oh, so naive. I think the bar scene really highlights it.
Oh, yeah. Like when the guy was just like, I don't like you.
And he's just like, oh, I'll just try to be... Like, Luke had no idea, like, dude, no. You just needed to, like, just slowly back away. But it's, fight.
It took Obi-Wan to cut the guy's arm off to stop it.
But it's just like Luke was in over his head. He was obviously jumping into something he wasn't fully prepared for.
Well, it's what Obi-Wan said. They're basically diving into a den of murders and thieves, and you have this little innocent 19-year-old...
This hive of scum and villainy.
Yeah, and then you have this, 19-year-old farm boy who's probably never really done anything really significant in his life. Now he's surrounded by a bunch of thugs and criminals, and he's just like...
I mean, he knows people are bad news in Tatooine, but, like, how often do you think he goes off the farm? Most of the dangers he's aware of is, like, literally all the things that will try to eat him and sand people.
Well, and a lot of times the most dangerous thing he deals with is the Womp Rat.
Well, no, I mean, the comics and everything just show, like, that Luke has gone out and ventured off. But a lot of them always highlights is, like, his aunt and uncle are always warning him of the dangers of sand people. Not like the things in the city or Jabba the Hutt and his thugs, because of how often do they venture off. And I'm sure they would never let Luke venture off.
Oh, yeah.
Probably to really highlight how isolated Luke felt and was. He was sheltered. Yeah. Very sheltered for a reason. But he was.
Too much like his father.
That's what they were afraid of. But yeah, that was Luke's greatest flaw. He was very sheltered. He was naive. And he was in for a rude awakening.
Yeah. And
everybody dies.
Even Obi-Wan. And and I do think another thing that comes with his naivety is his inability to really handle the loss that he endures.
Like, even Obi-Wan's death really hit him hard, which is so funny, because I think he only knew Kenobi for what? Like, maybe 2 days?
Well, actually knew him, because he did know of him, and he
knew of him, but he never knew him.
Well, he never sat down like he did in A New Hope and had to talk to him. And talk with him. He might have interacted with him shortly, but obviously Owen didn't want that happening at all.
It's simply because of his aunt and uncle are dead. All his friends were gone. So he literally had nothing left. Here comes Ben, something from Tatooine, and yet also someone who says he knew his father. Naturally, Luke immediately clinged to him.
Oh, and Obi-Wan he basically opened the door to the galaxy and the Jedi and the Force, and he was teaching him all these new things.
Or at least hinted at this great thing on the horizon, and just instantly just zeroed in on that, and then he's gone. And so yeah, that hit him kind of hard, and it was like...
Well, yeah, especially you can see him on the Millennium Falcon afterwards, and he's just like...
His whole world is thrown upside down. And what does he do? He immediately throws himself into a war.
Right.
Like, he's like, I got nothing left. I'm just gonna go for it.
Right, and then he ends up, going and joining the rebellion, flying an X-Wing, and destroying the Death Star.
Yeah, he does good things too, and everyone's like, wow, that's totally reckless. And I'm like, but there's the reason why people make parallels with Anakin, because it's like, you lose things, and suddenly a reckless nature starts coming about.
Well, and that makes a lot more sense when considering that he's a lot like his father line. And you really notice he is a lot like Anakin, to a fault.
Well, I mean, both the kids are. They're very much emerged.
Yeah, both Luke and Leia have his reckless.
They're both of the kids are very much a merge of Anakin and Padme. Like, you'll see aspects of both their personalities. But there's very key moments when they do something, and it's really, funnily enough, is moments where the characters either say something or they do something so stupid where you're just like, there's that Anakin gene. There's that Skywalker gene again. Dang it! Smee was so smart. How did this happen?
Shmi, what are you going to do with these stupid grandchildren?
And son. Smee's just like, I don't know. Look, why do you think I got married and changed my name to Lars?
Yeah, really though, I mean, I think that about covers his faults in A New Hope. Because,
it's pretty simple.
Yeah, the plot of that is pretty simple, outside of the loss of Obi-Wan.
But it's a character you can understand, because he's young.
And you could really sympathize with him, especially after he loses his family. Because he's just
young, and he's doing what any young person who would lose themselves. They just throw themselves into a new thing, whether it's people they meet along the way, and just attach themselves to those people. And that's the thing, though. Luke always had so little growing up on that farm, so he's just naturally inclined to immediately attach himself to things, which I guess is probably why they had Anakin start off as a slave, because naturally he couldn't have a lot. Yeah. So he just naturally attached himself to things.
And honestly, the only thing he really had was his mother, and we saw how
granted, Watto, gave them a house and stuff like that, and Anakin could fix things for Watto, so, he was, basically rewarded, but it's but they were apparently, it's told in supplementary materials, they were owned by someone far worse before Watto, and Anakin was born into that. So it was so obviously, he was probably thinking, man, life was good as soon as they got, Watto as their owner, but this is neither here nor there, because this isn't about Anakin, this is about Luke.
Yeah.
And then we come into Empire Strikes Back. So Luke has definitely matured since that movie.
In the time skip, you can see that he's definitely taken a much more proactive role within the rebellion, and he's, doing it. He's leading his own things.
Teaching himself with the Force. All he really had was just a couple of cryptic words from Obi-Wan, and in the comics, it's still some more cryptic words of Obi-Wan leading him to find this Jedi holocron, finding his Obi-Wan's journal. But it's really still not Jedi training.
Well, yeah, and we saw from, comparing to the prequels, we saw that the training that Luke got was what younglings got, little 5-year-olds were taught.
Like Luke had to literally get, whenever he met Yoda, a crash course in learning the Force. And as some people brought up, do we really know the time frame? And how long was Luke actually on Dagobah? Because as we all know, in our own solar systems, planets don't exactly have the exact same day system.
Yeah, so
for all we know, Luke could have been there for months on Dagobah, when really it was a week where Han and Leia were.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they were there for months on Cloud City.
No, but even then.
But I can't believe Luke would learn all that in a week.
Yeah.
I find that a little hard to believe, but that's
but really though, it's
that's just theories.
Yeah.
But through training with Yoda, we start to see some new flaws emerge from Luke. We start to see impatience, and Luke having to learn patience. Because I always compared Leia as having Anakin's temperament, but she has control like Padme, whereas Luke is the reverse. He has Padme's temperament, but he doesn't have control like Anakin. Yeah. He had to learn that. Yeah, and that's pretty much why he had to be with Yoda. He had to learn how to control his emotions, and
even
he failed. That was my favorite line when Luke said, "I don't believe it," and Yoda said, "That is why you fail." The whole movie was about Luke experiencing failures.
Yeah. Up until, the whole the fight on Bespin.
Well, no, he lost that fight, and he almost died. If it wasn't for Leia and Lando coming back for him, he would have died.
Yeah.
Luke failed. Your hero failed. The bad guy practically won. Like, the only victory they didn't have is simply for the fact that they didn't get Luke. Because Luke chose to, like, escape, but he was still, like, clinging for life.
Yeah, he barely made it out of that by the skin of his teeth.
Like, he, like, made it out there literally at this, like, by the skin of his teeth. And the movie ends with them getting patched up and Han's taken away. And the whole movie was about literally the heroes losing. Yeah. It's the 3-act. Where you have the big thing, and the villains come, and the villains come back bigger than ever, and that whole thing. But that's the whole thing. Luke had to kind of, because Luke was on top of his game at the New Hope. Like, him and Han were heroes.
Yeah, heroes of the rebellion. They destroyed the Death Star. They dealt the biggest blow against the Empire since the rebellion started.
And the next movie starts off with Luke is called Commander Skywalker. Han is General Solo. Like, they're, like, up the ranks now.
Yeah.
And suddenly Han gets kidnapped, and here we have, like, Luke getting maimed, and he loses his fight to... And that's the thing. Luke was treated as, like, practically, like, the last known Jedi. Like, because nobody knew about Yoda. Only Luke did. And so, like, I'm sure to the rebellion, Luke's, like, a rock star.
Yeah.
And so, I'm not saying this would get to Luke's head, but it's clear whenever Luke meets Yoda, he finds it sometimes hard to believe this guy.
Well, and you can also see a bit of arrogance when he's talking to Yoda, because he's really dismissive.
It's not arrogance though of like, I think I'm better than you. It's more of like, this guy's crazy.
Well, yeah, and especially when he goes into the sort of force like swamp area thing, and Yoda's like, you don't need to take your weapons, and he's just like,
It's because Luke can't seem to separate the physical world with the spiritual stuff.
Yeah.
He can't separate that because if Yoda tells him you need to unlearn what you have learned, like what his whole life, and Luke couldn't unlearn.
Yeah.
He was too busy stuck in the mindset that he grew up with.
Right, because if he's going into something that's potentially dangerous, he's going to take his blaster, he's going to take his lightsaber, he's going to take any extra weapons.
I think George Lucas purposely, like if you notice in the start of A New Hope, Luke only carries with him usually the blaster. Like he only in that one scene, that training scene, ever used the lightsaber. But Luke always had a blaster with him.
Right.
Whereas you see in Empire Strikes Back, Luke carries, and there's even a scene where you just see it like, it's just like, it's literally like, it's just a blink you miss it moment, but at Luke's hip, like right at his hip, you see both a blaster and the lightsaber. So it's supposed to be like
this transition.
It's not, it doesn't say it outright in the movie, but it's supposed to be Luke trying to, like this duality of Luke trying to be a Jedi, but Luke also being the rebel fighter, and he's having trouble trying to reconcile the two.
Right, because he's learning the lightsaber, and he can use the lightsaber, especially we see he does, for at least for a little bit, hold his own in the fight, but he's also not completely comfortable getting rid of a blaster.
It's like he can't let go of the rebel persona that he's built for himself. But he wants to be a Jedi, and to be a Jedi, he has to let go of that physical thing. And he couldn't do that. And he couldn't let go of his friends. He couldn't let go of anything. That was the whole highlight, where Yoda's just like, you're gonna end up like your daddy. You gotta let go. And it's just like, I can't. I can't do that.
I have a condition. It's called caring too much.
And that's why you lose an arm, just like your daddy.
Well, yeah.
At least I keep both of my legs and my other arm.
Yeah. And that ultimately, that's what led him to walk into the trap on Bespin, is that he was, he didn't want anything to happen to his friends.
He couldn't do that.
And even if, even if he would have fared better against Vader by staying with Yoda and waiting till at least he's gotten most of his training.
But then Luke would have lost everything. And how much more vulnerable do you think he might have been?
Honestly,
if Han and Leia were dead and all Luke had was nothing, and then Vader drops the whole "I am your father."
Oh, he would lose it.
Because then it would have been like, Yoda and Obi-Wan lied to me, and now my friends are dead because of the Jedi. Like, that could have been Luke's start of darkness.
Yeah, I mean, he easily could have fallen prey to the dark side, or
I mean, granted, this is speculation. I can't picture Sith Luke for the life of me. I know people write fan fiction about that.
Though I think more likely is that he would have become much, much more reckless, because he would have been more like the guy with nothing to lose. Like, you killed my who would find out his sister, his friend Han, Chewie, R2.
Yeah, because that's the other thing. He certainly wouldn't like Vader for that either. And it's like he would have become probably really bitter then. And it's just like it's like Luke suffered a lot for that choice, but in the end, it probably was the right choice.
Right, going in there, at the very least, he spared everyone from dying.
He made a lot of mistakes, and it really cost him personally.
Right, and that was really the trade-off. Do you want them to suffer, or are you going to suffer to save them? And he chose...
He chose himself. I'm going to suffer.
And he knew he was going to walk into a trap. I mean...
He knew it. There was no way.
Yeah.
I mean, even if he didn't, Leia was practically screaming it at him as they were dragging her in there. So he knew, probably...
It's a trap!
It's in Admiral Akbar somewhere. That's my line! But it's just like, even if he didn't, but Luke knew it was a trap. Like, even like, the Jedi can sense it. They were even just like, I think it was Obi-Wan who said... It's you the Emperor wants, and the Emperor and the Vader want.
Right, he was telling you this is
like
basically
that's why your
dragging
friends.
you out.
That's why your friends are made to suffer. They want you and your abilities, Luke. And it's like, so Luke knew, like, it's a trap. They're gonna get hurt because of me, and he's like, I'm not gonna stand for that.
Yeah.
And he can't, because he cares about his friends. Because he lost everything. Han and Leia and Chewie and the droids, they became this new family for him after losing his old one and his old friends. And he,
especially after losing Biggs,
he can't like they're his new
family.
They're his new foundation that ground him, and like, because
especially when we see how he interacts with Leia, sometimes he really needs her.
He really
to
needs
comfort
her
him and to keep him level.
Like, they both have this really good scenes together. Like, I always refer to like Luke as like Leia's light, and I refer to Leia as Luke's anchor. Like, I think she's like the anchor for him, especially like after that whole terrible battle that he had with Vader, and just that huge bombshell dropped on him. And all like you do is when he sees Leia, they just immediately like hug each other for dear life, and it's just like, Luke really needed that. Poor guy.
And even after Obi-Wan died, Leia's the one who comforted him.
Because she just saw that, because of Luke, unlike Leia, wouldn't have been used to this. Leia's grown up, because her daddy was secretly in charge of the rebellion for a long time. So Leia would have grown up with that. She would have been used to probably making friends in the rebellion and seeing them die.
And hell, in A New Hope, in the beginning of that, or near the beginning of that, her whole planet is destroyed.
And everyone's like, why don't we see Leia angsting about it so much? And I'm like, that's the problem though. Leia has seen the costs of this war constantly. That's why she always constantly has walls built up around her. She doesn't want to get attached to people because she knows it hurts. So that's why she's always pushing Han away, because if she knows something bad will happen to him, it'll personally hurt her, and she didn't want that, which that's exactly what happened to her. But this is not a Leia topic, but I love these characters too much.
Yeah.
But it's like, but she sees Luke in A New Hope and just how torn this poor boy is, and she could just tell she probably had been there at one point in Luke's position and just knew exactly what this kid was going through. And for Luke, that's why in Empire Strikes Back, he just could not, he did not want to go through that again.
No.
He would not allow himself. And then his faults in Return of the Jedi. I almost read Revenge of the Sith, and I'm like, he was just a baby in that movie.
Different trilogy.
Different trilogy. He was a baby in that movie. His fault in that movie was he is too cute. Little baby. Anyways.
In Return of the Jedi.
Yes, Return of the Jedi.
And this is really kind of where we see him the most mature out of all of them. But, he still has a few faults.
He still has. Like, goading Jabba probably wasn't the best idea.
Yeah, he literally walks into Jabba's palace.
Well, the funny thing is that one person points out is, it's so funny, he makes the exact same quote that Anakin made at Anakin's lowest when Luke is at his highest of, you don't underestimate my power, basically. Like, it's just like, ooh, that Skywalker arrogance. Well, we know how that got your father. It was chop, chop, chop suey. And then lava, lava, lava.
Yeah. But, though, this time we see that this is the Luke who had, who wasn't, he was still arrogant, but at least in this point, he could back that up.
Oh, he could back it up, but it's probably not a good idea
Yeah, to go into Jabba, just stomp up to Jabba and basically point blank threaten him. Though I guess that's better than pulling a thermal detonator on him.
Well, when you're a Skywalker, it comes.
A lot of things sound good at the time.
Oh, that Anakin gene again.
Well, yeah, and even then you can see he had a bit of a feel for the theatrics, like especially when he calls R2 to hide. He had
which is a good plan.
He had R2 hide his lightsaber.
It would make Jabba underestimate him, because then it's like, where's that trump card?
Yeah.
And then boom, there's that trump card. But then it's like this big dramatic scene.
Yeah, and he has it flying up.
And he has the flip to get it too, and he's just like, flip, yeah, I'm awesome, dressed in black, and I'm just like. Skywalkers.
Yeah, he's really channeling Anakin.
Oh, but definitely, in this movie, we get to see Luke really actually, we kind of got to see the start of it in Empire Strikes Back. Luke struggling with the darkness inside him. And we really got to see Luke actually struggling with it. And it's the whole Luke caring too much coming to a full head, just like his father. Whereas with Luke, the biggest weakness of all is with the discovery that Leia is his sister. And Leia's, as we mentioned, Leia is that anchor for Luke.
Yeah.
She may be his light, but she is his anchor. He needs her. He needs his sister. And whenever just thinking, just all that awful stuff he had to go through, and just the very thought of Vader daring to suggest that he might put Leia through the same thing if Luke keeps on resisting.
Yeah.
Luke flipped out. He's just like,
well, yeah,
oh, no, you don't. You stay away from my sister.
And that was one of the few times in the movie you see him. That's actually one of the few times in the entire, original trilogy that you see him downright lose it. When he went after Vader, he was just you could see the sheer anger.
Screaming, and he's just flying, and Vader can barely defend himself. And this is Vader. He's like the lightsaber prodigy with Anakin.
He's the Jedi killer.
He killed Dooku, the one considered to be the best Jedi ever in lightsabers fighting. Yeah. The best. And Anakin killed him when he was, 21, 22?
Yeah, he was around 21.
Or 23 or something like that. Young. Anakin was very young, and he killed this lightsaber prodigy. And it's and Luke can... Bam! In this span of anger. And it just and it was just Luke dealing with this internal conflict. At the same time, while trying to save Vader, it was also a battle to save himself.
Yeah.
And, chills.
Yeah. And you can also see that, it may have been a bit of a fault to basically walk right up to the Emperor and Vader by himself.
Speaking of goading people.
Yeah. I'm going to walk right up to the Emperor and Vader.
It's no, Emperor, you're not going to win. I will be dead, and you with me. Just Luke, Granny. Why do you keep goading powerful people that can kill you with, the flick of their finger?
Palpatine literally couldn't kill him with the flick of his finger. He almost does.
Wait, why am I saying why? Anakin's your father. Of course I know the answer to that question.
And Vader's sitting there oh, yep. There.
Well, no, what's funny is when he does that, you see actually Vader turns and looks at Luke. Vader's probably I'm just picturing this face and they're did you oh snap, that is my son. Good boy. just that Skywalker sass. This is my child. If I didn't have the Force to tell me, right then I'd say, I know that this is my child.
I'm just gonna go to the most powerful man in the galaxy and just
and
just mouth off right to his face.
Trash talk him. But I do love that line from Palpatine, because the other thing where it's the downfall of you, Luke, is your faith in your friends. And it's because Luke has so much faith in people, and it's people can attribute that to his naivety. And yes, it has walked him into dangerous situations, but as we can point out by talking about Luke's good points, his strengths, let's go into A New Hope.
Yeah. I do think that, he always, one of his strengths in it, especially in A New Hope, is that he does have a really good heart. And he's always wanting to do the best thing. Even joining, the Imperial Academy? I mean, he doesn't really understand the whole context of the Imperial Academy.
Oh, I think he understood the context. He just wanted to be a pilot. It didn't mean he actually wanted to join the Imperial Army. He just wanted to be a pilot. That's what a lot of people from Tatooine were doing, because they have the best, schooling for the Academy.
Well,
that's what Biggs did. Biggs got into the Imperial Academy, and he met some context in there, as he said in the deleted scenes, and he was going to blast off and join the rebellion. Luke wanted to do the exact same thing.
And you could really, and it's an easy ticket off Tatooine.
Easy ticket. And that's kind of part of Luke's flaws, but the other part of it is it's like the Disney princess wide-eyed dreamer, dreaming of something bigger and better out there than that isolated world he was stuck in.
And he didn't really get what was going on with the rebellions, because, I mean, to him, they were all basically just tales.
Well, it's also like they were just something far off out there, but it was like an adventure. Like, he got so excited when C-3PO mentioned how they were part of the rebellion. The people that his previous masters. Luke was all excited. He's like, you guys saw action. That's how we referred it to. You guys seen some action? Luke's just excited. To Luke, it's this amazing space adventure. Any of us watching Star Wars, or it's if somebody came along with I work for a Jedi. We're just Jedi are real? Take me with you.
Well, and it's you can definitely see when his when Obi-Wan starts talking to him about the Jedi and his father, saying that he knew his father. And, you can really just see this, you knew my father?
It was this excitement.
Well,
there's this whole world out there that this whole galaxy out there that he just wants to see. Yeah. He wants to experience it. He wants to discover it. And I don't consider that a bad trait about Luke. I consider that a really relatable trait.
Well, and it's less...
it's like a coming-of-age story.
Yeah. And it's less, in that case, less
But instead of wanting to find your place in the world, it's wanting to find his place in the universe.
Yeah. Yeah, but we do see...
But it's the faith in your friends. Right. Luke had such faith in Han, despite the fact that Han has been nothing but kind of a dick the whole movie, with a couple, one or two nice moments.
Right, especially bad-mouthing Obi-Wan, bad-mouthing the Force.
Bad-mouthing Leia, but of course Leia would bad-mouth him right back, so it was all good.
I mean, he bad-mouthed Luke, too, and he also...
And he treated Luke like a little kid. Luke was 19 years old, and here's Han treating him like he's some 14-year-old snot-nosed punk. Obviously, Luke didn't appreciate that, but did Han care? No. But Luke grew attached to him despite the fact that Han treated him like that.
Well, in a lot of ways, Han was sort of like that older brother.
The snotty know-it-all older brother, but they're still your brother. And like I said, he didn't know these people that long at all, and he immediately attached himself to him. And it's I made this comment somewhere else before, where you're in a combat situation, you're just naturally going to cling to people, even if you don't get along at all. It's if you go through life or death situations, that changes you. And if you live through it, survive it with somebody, that's the thing you have together. It's nothing else can really compare. It's I like pod racers. What do you guys have in common? We literally survived an Imperial dogfight. They win! They win the best friend award.
Yeah.
It's just okay, you can't top that.
Well, and also another thing is that Luke always really sees the good in people.
He does.
And he always believes in people. When you see that in A New Hope, you see he always believes in Han.
He's I really thought he would change his mind. Leia shakes her head because she won't admit it. She hoped that Han would change his mind too, but she's Luke, you got to accept the fact that some people aren't going to be what you expect them to be.
Yeah.
And then it's he came back and Luke's ha-ha, I was right about you. But it was even cute because Leia's I knew there was more to you, money. So she's deep down, she's yeah, I knew Luke was right about you.
Yeah, and Luke is very much the heart of the team.
Oh, he's so heart. We mentioned that in my video whenever we were talking about the trio. He's the heart.
Yeah. And and you can definitely see he anchors people together in the team, and that's something that draws everyone to him, and that's definitely a really
He's
positive.
This little cinnamon roll, and every single one of them are I must protect this cinnamon bun. I will protect you, cinnamon bun. And then Vader's I will teach you the ways of the dark side. Dad, no.
I know there's good in you, Father. No, I'm evil.
I will chop off your arm to prove it. Dad, no.
Oh, I still think you're good deep down.
Which is so funny, is because we're okay, well, what's the good about Luke? Like I said, he's definitely matured in Empire Strikes Back. Mm-hmm. He's less like a kid. the wide-eyed, naive kid. He knows there's bad stuff
Well, no,
out there.
he's grown more realistic with real life experience. He's been in the rebellion for a while.
Yeah, he's not as naive as he used to be when he was a kid. He still, like, loves adventure, loves being with his friends, and such a passion to learn the Force, despite the fact that he thinks Yoda's, like, sometimes full of crap. But then there are other moments where you see Luke is genuinely listening to what Yoda has to say. I think it's simply because of, well, like, why Luke was. It's because, one, he's been hanging out with Han and Leia a little bit too much these past 3 years, and they're both so realistic minded, and Luke is like, was like, it's the Force, Han, and Han's just like, yeah. But it's just like, so having to listen to that, I think some of that might have sadly set in Luke's mind. But I think the other fact is simply Yoda's not Obi-Wan.
Well, and again, also you have to, also his expectations for, you're going to go to Yoda, a great Jedi Master, and he's probably imagining this guy who's
he's probably imagining essentially Obi-Wan times 10.
Yeah. He's imagining a guy who looks similar to Obi-Wan.
Probably acts just like Obi-Wan in personality, only just knows even more things than Obi-Wan does. Probably he's just imagining Obi-Wan with literally the entire encyclopedia of Jedi just injected into his brain.
Yeah.
And then he gets Yoda, who is not Obi-Wan.
Who's 2 feet tall and a little wrinkled green old
troll.
Yeah, literal troll.
Literally trolls Luke when they first meet. And Yoda is a bit hard on Luke. Like, not harsh, hard. But he pushes Luke because he knows that this kid is a Skywalker. I know he's capable of a lot of stuff.
Right. And he doesn't, and of course they always talk about, not wanting to repeat what his father did.
But it's like, but there are some scenes where Luke does, like, I do think, in some scenes when Yoda explains some things, Luke does have a genuine respect for Yoda. There is this one scene, it's that same scene where Luke's like, basically, like, it's impossible. There's this one part before it, and Yoda says, judge me by my size, do you? And Luke kind of reluctantly is like, well, no, because Luke realized Yoda had a point. Yeah, I can't judge Yoda by his size anymore because I realized that was wrong. But he's like, another part of him was still like, but it's impossible. But it's like one part of him begrudgingly had to admit, okay, Yoda had a point. And then there's parts where he's like balancing the rocks with Yoda. Or when Yoda was explaining the difference between the dark side and the light side. And Luke was asking Yoda questions and genuinely listening. Where he's just like, is the dark side stronger? And he's like, no. And he's just like, but because he's like genuinely wanting to learn. And it's just like, so it is little moments where Luke does kind of let go that realism and the things that he'd learned and is genuinely wanting to hear. He is teachable. Sometimes he can be hard-headed, but sometimes he is opening up.
And again,
and that's that Luke is starting to grow up.
Well, yeah, and he very quickly got over his initial impression of Yoda when he first met him, because at first he's just like,
right after when he realized it's Yoda, he's like, oh, I done goofed.
what has Obi-Wan done?
I done goofed. He's like, shoot, I insulted the little troll man who's actually this great Jedi Master.
You could not be Master Dashi. Master Dashi is a great warrior.
Let's not quote Shaolin Chronicles. That was from Shaolin Chronicles.
No?
It was.
When he first met Master Adachi back in time in Shaolin Showdown.
Okay, then Shaolin... Okay, that's neither here nor there. Ignore us. Ignore us from that point.
But yeah, and what's really interesting is that when you see him go up against Vader, he does, like we said, it's making that gamble of he could go in and stop Vader or people, but he doesn't have complete training. But he's really doing it out of the pure, desire to save his friends.
But it's also another desire to confront his father's killer.
Yeah.
You could see it in Luke's eyes. He was waiting for this.
Yeah,
and if you read the comics, you know that in the new comics that are now canon, Luke has confronted Vader before, but he had absolutely zero training, and Vader practically swatted him like a fly. It was only pure chance that Luke got away alive. Literally pure chance. And so, Luke was like gearing up for this. Now he's like, this is my chance. I can do this for my friends. I can do this for Ben. I can do this for my father. And he's just like thinking, I can do this. I'm going to do this. I will do it for all of them. And then everything gets turned on his head.
By the way, I'm your dad.
And it's just like, my whole life's a lie.
Well, yeah, and after getting over that immediate shock, though, we do see that coming into Return of the Jedi, that he's
very reluctant. He's scared to admit that it's true, but once he learns that it is in fact true from Yoda, the confirmation, there's no bitterness, there is no anger. Even when he questions Obi-Wan of like, why did he lie to him, it wasn't resentment, it was just annoyed.
It was really, I want to know why you did this.
But it was kind of annoyed, and he was just like, from a certain point of view, like, really, Kenobi? Really? You're gonna pull this philosophical stuff on me right now? Really? After you lied to me. But it's just like, it's another one of those teaching moments for you, Luke. But it was like, it was just annoyed. Like, I read some fanfics, for some reason that will portray Luke as angry and bitter about being lied to, and I'm like, that's not Luke. That is really not Luke's character at all. Like, from the get-go, we see that he was forgiving of Han for being such a dickbag.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, that's not Luke. He was annoyed that Obi-Wan did that, but he wanted to know, like, okay, I'm willing to hear why you told me this lie. Like, explain yourself, man. Obi-Wan explained himself, and it's like, well, that's a valid explanation.
Yeah.
But it's like, and from the moment he knew, and as I've said this before in my video explaining whenever I had a topic about Luke and Vader, funnily enough, also sent by Amy, it's like Luke literally knew zero about his father. He's constantly learning that things people told him about his father are lies.
Well, yeah, because all he had heard is he was like, what, a pilot. He had heard that he was
a navigator and a spice freighter. That's first what he was told. A great pilot, and he died in some accident. And then Obi-Wan tells him, well, your father was a Jedi, and he was killed by Darth Vader. Well, the Jedi part was true.
And he was metaphorically killed by her.
Oh, yeah. Metaphorically.
From a certain point of view.
Yeah, metaphorically. Good way. Like, how often do you think he winged himself out of so many explanations for Anakin? Anakin, Obi, where do babies come from? Well, metaphorically, Anakin, if you look at it from a certain
point of view.
The stork.
Babies come when the Jedi come in and take them to the temple.
Well, Anakin, you see... The Force creates babies.
Seems legit.
Anakin's like, you made that up. No, that's how you were created. Really?
Basically.
Basically. Anyways.
Yeah, but we see throughout Return of the Jedi, up to the ending, he never gives up on Vader.
And it's like I said, he knew next to nothing about his father. Nothing. And he's just like, why does he believe that his father's good? He's like, because I felt it. And it's like, what does he have the basis off of? Like, cause the last interaction he had with Vader was Empire Strikes Back.
Where he chopped his arm off.
He was beaten to hell and back. And it's like, so from that moment, Luke had to have probably said something like, why hasn't he killed me yet? This man had been holding back on me. And it's like, it had to be a moment for Luke to realize Vader's been holding back.
Yeah.
Despite all this training, Vader was holding back.
Vader really, and honestly, I do think he was holding back heavily in the fight at the end because, I mean, even though
because Luke was being worn down, he had to hold back. It was only because of Luke inflicted injury upon Vader that it was like, ah! And then suddenly, there goes the hand in true Star Wars fashion. Actually, that's where it all started.
Yeah. But, yeah, another thing we see in Return of the Jedi is that he, what am I saying?
What were you saying? Thoughts. What are your thoughts, Tim?
Okay. Now I remember what I was going to say. So at the end, when he's fighting Vader, he does have that emotional outburst where he just decimates him. But this is something that really sets him apart from Anakin, is that he holds himself back. He stops and he takes a moment to look at what he's doing.
Well, it's funny because Yoda said to let go of things, and he's like, so Luke kind of pushed and disregarded some of Yoda's teachings, but some of it still took fruit. Some of it, because Luke had to be his own Jedi. Obviously, the old ways weren't going to work.
No, and there's no way that...
The Sith ways aren't going to work.
Especially since he started his training at 19. There's obviously no way that old-style training of the Jedi Order could ever work for him.
Something had to change because of the universe detrimentally changed. Detrimentally. Very detrimentally.
Yeah.
Something had to change. Luke is not any of these Jedi, and he's also not his father. He's like his father, but he's not his father. That was the whole, like I said, the duality of Empire Strikes Back really came to full head in Return of the Jedi. Because now he's a full-fledged Jedi. He's kind of left part of the whole rebel Luke behind him. Because he's now dressed as more Jedi-like. He's always carrying his lightsaber. I think he's only used a blaster once, and that was in Jabba's palace when he took the blaster from one of the guys. But that's because of R2 had his lightsaber.
Right.
And, like, Luke was very much Jedi in that whole movie. But it was like there's still that duality, that's still that conflict within Luke. But this time it's the whole, because he had to come to grips with who Vader is. And now it's like, what does that mean for Luke? Like that whole vision in this cave. Will he become just like Vader? Is he doomed to follow his father's path? Or is he not? And what does that mean for Vader? And it's like this whole conflict.
And despite Vader basically telling him, saying, it's too late to save me, that, even though Vader expressed...
Luke's like, it's not too late, it's never too late.
Yeah, and even Vader probably had a desire to go back and change things, especially...
But it's like, I murdered children, there's no going back from that.
I kind of slaughtered, like, hundreds of people personally, so I...
It's like, there's no going back, kid.
And then Luke's just like, no, I believe you can. And, that goodness ultimately shined through and led to Vader sacrificing himself to kill.
Well, it was just like Luke, as I said in one of my videos before, Luke never gave up on Anakin, despite the fact that, like I said, he has really nothing to back this up besides a feeling he had. But nothing, and he knows next to nothing about this man.
Yeah.
And Palpatine has been playing this man like a fiddle for decades. Basically making Vader
pretty much his entire
puppet,
life.
His puppet.
Yeah.
And it's like, and suddenly Luke comes in and throws a wrench into everything. And basically making him his little Vader 2.0, into ruining Vader and to ruining his empire. And it's just like, it all because he was just that little blonde that cared. The little blonde with faith and his friends.
And his daddy.
And it's just like, it's Palpatine's over there just like, you guys all disgust me.
All these feelings. And
ugh,
family.
And good and light. You're all disgusting. And just like, oh gosh.
I'm going to go into the corner and be a stereotypical villain.
If I had a mustache, I would twirl it.
He would be.
And he'd be like...
Your faith in your friend is your weakness.
and a cat to stroke. Get Palpatine a cat, 2K15.
He rolls around in his chair and he's just like, hello, Skywalker.
And an eye patch so he can be a James Bond villain. Just make it complete. Anyways. But yeah, and it's like Luke had nothing but the utmost faith. Even when he was literally seconds from dying as he's being electrocuted, pleading for his father to come to his rescue. Everyone criticizes Luke because he should be the hero that saves the day. No. That was not the moment. The moment was for Luke's character, he was all about his father. That was the whole thing about his character. It always had to come back to his father. This was a crucial moment because it showed Luke's crucial moment where his character came to that shining moment is where he tossed his lightsaber and said, I will never join the dark side. He's like, you failed. He's like, I'm a Jedi. And that was Luke's defining...
I'm a Jedi, like my father before me.
Yeah, that was Luke's defining heroic moment because it showed that no matter what you're going to throw at this kid, he will not fall. No matter what. So then this next moment had to be the defining moment, finally, for Anakin. Because of Luke's already shown, he's persevered. And that faith is just still outshining. And then Anakin had to make that split moment. And it was that moment, it's well, my love's destroyed everything. Might as well finally do something good for somebody I love.
Yeah.
But it's just he just I've just disappointed everybody else. Am I really going to let my son die now too? Heck no!
Yes.
Down you go, creepy old man.
Slam dunk.
Slam dunk and explosion. That's how you roll. Vader style.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was Luke though. Luke brought that out of him. Luke brought that conflict out. He was obviously ignoring that for decades. Just pretending that it was never there. And all it took was just those little words from that little blonde Tatooine boy just to get it all Anakin stirred up again. He probably thought, no, Anakin Skywalker's dead. He's never coming back. And it's like, hi, my name's Luke Skywalker. Dang it! Here's that Anakin Skywalker. I feel him turning inside me again.
Yeah.
It's like, great. Next thing you know, I'll be talking about how much I don't like sand.
I don't like sand. It's coarse.
I don't like sand.
It's coarse and rough.
Luke's just like,
And it gets everywhere.
you know what? I'm not going to save you later.
I feel you, Dad.
It's like, yes, I hate Tatooine too, but please stop embarrassing me, Father. No. I am your awkward villain father. You will love me.
Pretty much.
And he does. Because he cares. And that's Luke.
Yeah, that's pretty much... I think it pretty much covers it.
That pretty much covers it. Those are the important movies. Considering all he had was a very sad face cameo in The Force Awakens. A very, very sad face with a really nice beard.
He stared very intensely at that camera.
He really needed to work that camera.
The easiest money Mark Hamill ever made.
No, I'm pretty sure he's made better money. They're just like, Mark Hamill.
Oh, it was the easiest money. All he had to do was stand there and stare as the camera looked at him.
Stop and stare. Okay. So, yeah, that's Luke Skywalker.
Yes.
So, I don't think we have anything to say other than carry off. I'm just gone.
Yeah. So, thank you for watching. If you want to see last week's topic video, you can check that out here. If you want to see next week's topic video, I'll be posting that here once I get that done. If you want to submit...
Watch his other videos.
They're pretty good. If I do say so myself.
I agree.
If you want to submit a topic, you can submit a comment below on YouTube, or you can send me an ask on Tumblr and do topic : whatever you want me to talk about. Just make sure that you follow the rules that I'll be posting below, and make sure that it's a fictional topic and that it's, give me something specific that I can talk about, and so that I don't have a vague topic to just ramble on and on and on about. But yeah, that about covers it, and thank you for watching.